Now for the top story tonight, a Muslim controversy in San Diego. The school board there is allowing 100 Muslim students at the Carver Elementary School to take a daily recess to pray. The Islamic religion requires prayer at precise times. That has caused an uproar. Joining us now from Washington, Ibrahim, I should say.
Ibrahim.
Hooper. I got it. The communications director for the Council on American Islamic Relations. And from San Diego, radio talk show host Roger Hedgecock, who is following the story on KOGO. All right, Roger, the school board in San Diego gave us a statement today. It says that the Carver students are allowed to pray during non-instructional time, just the same as there are Bible study clubs and Christian clubs. And that was from Jack Brandeis, I believe, or somebody attached to the school district. Now, is that a legitimate point?
No, it's not. In fact, I don't think they're telling the truth there, as much as I like Jack. The fact is, I interviewed this substitute teacher who blew the whistle on this school within a school, an embryonic madrasa that's kind of growing there at Carver Elementary. She came in to teach a substitute class, looked at the lesson plan, right there at 1 o'clock, right after the lunch break, so it was no break, right during the curriculum, it said, pray for 1 hour. She went to the school and said, this must be a typo. Does this mean play for 1 hour? They said, no, it means pray, and another school employee will come in, a Ms. Pierre, and lead this prayer as they do every day. And by the way, a segregated classroom by gender and segregated by religion. These were Muslim-only kids, 7th and 8th graders, girls only.
All right, so at 1 o'clock each day at the Carver Elementary School, there's a 15-minute recess where the Muslim students, 100 of them, mostly from Somalia, can pray. That's the situation. Roger, did you hear that?
Yes, and it's actually not, it goes on for about 35 minutes, according to this substitute teacher who I interviewed. And it goes on with the blinds drawn, the doors locked, no other pupils being allowed in this public school. We've been taught for 50 years that there's a separation of church and state, that Christians can't do this and that, Jews can't do this and that. Suddenly Muslims can have a school within a school. That's what's happening here.
All right, how do you see it, Mr. Hooper?
Well, first of all, the school district has investigated all of these charges from the substitute teacher and found them to have no basis whatsoever. But the bottom line is, whatever's happening at this school, students of all faiths should be allowed to carry out their religious practices, whether they're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Hindu, whatever. That's the law, as long as it's student-initiated, voluntary, there's no coercion about it, that's the law. And all we ask is that the Muslim students be allowed to pray just like
all right, but there's a specificity here for Muslim students that doesn't apply to Jewish students or Christian students, and the school board admits it, and they say, Mr. Hooper, the reason we don't have it is because nobody asked. Well, so you're basically taking in a public school one religion, Islam, and giving them, the Islamic students, something that the Christians and Jews don't have.
No, the Christians, the Jewish students, the Hindu students all have the same rights. The only difference is that in Islam...
They don't have rooms, Mr. Hooper. No, they don't have little rooms. They don't have them.
No, the only difference is logistical. Muslims pray during a certain window of opportunity during the day.
No, there's no Christian room and there's no Jewish room, Mr. Hooper. That's the fact. Now, Mr. Hedgecock...
There's no Muslim room either.
Yeah, they have their own little room where they go.
They're merely allowed 15 minutes to fulfill their religious obligations in non-instructional time, not led by a teacher.
All right.
That's the law.
Now... Where's the ACLU on this, Roger? They're suing about Christmas carols and creches and manger scenes and everything. ACLU, no lawsuit. Where are they?
Completely silent, and this is my point. I think, first of all that you've just heard is not what we have found. This is it's on the curriculum, it's during the school day, it's not a break. These are segregated classes now by gender and by faith that no one else gets in a public school, and according to the Supreme Court shouldn't get. The ACLU, notoriously silent. Anytime you've got a situation where Christians or Jews or Hindus or whoever have been trying to exercise their rights to pray, we've had lawsuits and Supreme Court proclamations. Now all of a sudden, very quietly, in a lot of little towns across this country, starting here, I guess, in San Diego, there's going to be this attempt to get an Arabic-only, Arabic immersion, mosque-related program where kids will be segregated.
Segregated by tactics and...
but it's what's happening. It's not a scare tactic. That's what's
the case.
happening.
Mr. Hooper, I have one.
It is
I
absolutely
have a
the
very
case. We've
specific
witnessed
question.
it.
Okay, hold it. I have one more question for Mr. Hooper. In the University of Michigan, Dearborn, they're putting in the, as you know, the foot washes, right, for Muslims because it's a right in the Islamic religion. Correct?
Yeah. All we're talking about.
No. Is that correct, sir? Is it correct?
They put in an accommodation.
Right.
Again,
and it was
it's a
paid for by the
logistical
taxpayers
thing.
to put
It's
in the
a-
foot washes.
Again,
Now, here's my question for you.
It's a logistical thing. When Muslims pray, they have to wash.
Fine. But it's
And-
paid for by non-Muslims to put it into a public school. Here's
You
my
know,
question for you, sir. Should we
when-
put in a holy water font for Catholics, paid
If
for by
they're-
the
if-
taxpayers?
If students of other faiths need religious accommodation, they should have it.
Okay, but that is totally against what has been in play here in the USA for the last couple of decades. Gentlemen, I got to run.
That's
Very
right.
stimulating debate. We appreciate it. Next on the run.